Thank you for joining us at First Assembly of God Church in Clear Lake, California. Please welcome our Associate Pastor, Chris Massingill.
It's good to be in the house of the Lord this morning, amen. Lord, I thank you for the worship set that went forth. I thank you for your presence in this place. I thank you for the excitement in each and every person's heart in this place today, Lord. Lord, I pray as we go through this message that you would empty me of myself and use me as a vessel for your glory. I pray you take this message that we've prepared together, Lord, and you would just open our eyes, our ears, and our hearts to see what you're saying to the church today. But mostly, Lord, I pray that you continue to touch, speak, and heal your people today. Have your way in every one of our lives. In Jesus' name, amen. Good morning, church. Good morning. 2023. 2023. Are you ready for 2023? Are you sure? I can tell you one thing that I know, that the Lord is not speaking to a lot of us about what is going to come forth in this next year. We pray, we ask, we seek, we wonder, and I think that He's telling us to go back to look into His Word and see what it says. It's already there. The other day I was praying and preparing for the Wednesday night message, and I pulled up the scripture in Acts 2. It says, where in the last days I will pour out my Spirit on all flesh. And I got this revelation is that we Pentecostals think, everyone's going to be running around praying in tongues, people getting slayed in the Spirit, hitting the floor, all that stuff. We think there's going to be another move like that, and there is. There is. It's coming. But what He showed me is He's going to pour His Spirit on all flesh. See, us as believers have the opportunity to see what He's doing. We have the opportunity to see through His eyes, but the world doesn't. There's blinders that have been put on the world. And so they can't see the things of God. They can't see His hand. And so He is going to pour His Spirit on all flesh, whether you're saved or not. And you're going to be able to see what He's doing. See, because before He comes back for His church, He's going to work through His church. And we have to, as human beings, have to get what we choose. So we have to have a choice. So like no time ever in history, I believe, He is going to open the eyes of everyone so they can make a true choice of which way they want to go. And so what happens here, and He showed me just recently, you have people, like is my coffee shop girl here today? Oh, it's progress, not perfection. But anyway, I was in the coffee shop talking to a young lady the other day, and the first thing she said, there was a situation that happened I'm not going to talk about from here, but it was a good one. I was talking about somebody that was not quite there. And I said, yeah, but, when I was hugging this person, and she goes, that person's not really all there. I'm like, no. And they know this person very well. And I go, yeah, but that person's been coming to our church forever. And she goes, that person goes to church? I go, well, where else would somebody in that condition find the love that they need to get through this life? Except in a church. Right? And she goes, when is church? Is it every day? Is it on Sundays? I don't know. My parents have never went to church. I've never went to church. But recently I've been feeling like I need to go check out a church because I feel like I need to make a choice. And I said, you're exactly right, because the Holy Spirit is pouring, God is pouring His Spirit, and He's telling you need to make a choice. The problem is, once you have the opportunity, you get what you choose. By the way, she didn't know I was a pastor at this church. She thought I owned the gym. So for a conversation like that out of her, she said, well, I want to be at church. Which church you go to? 11:15. Sometimes they say you got to ask them 7 times. Don't go bug them. Don't go knock on their doors. Don't call them up all the time. So how many of you come expecting today? I think this is going to be a good one today, if it's anything like the first service. So the Bible tells us that me and Pastor Steve can't chase you into a miracle. We can only call for the elders of the church so the power of God can be released. It's not our job to chase you. We're not called to chase you. I know that's the way you believe it always be, that we should have everybody's name, making everybody's phone call, making sure you're here, and if you're not here, it's not our job to chase you. It's our job to teach you how to chase Him. That's our job. That's what we're called to do. And what we have these days in the body of Christ is a spiritual welfare mentality. Should I take a drink of water? All we want to do is come get. The Lord is not looking for people who want to come get. He's looking for people who say, I will be a contributor to the kingdom of God. And so today, can we take a moment and talk about the church? Not this church, but the church in general. Everybody say the church. The church. The church is the grace of God manifested in the weakness of humanity. That's the power of the church. Now, with that all said, let's get to our text. You can open your Bibles to John chapter 12. We're going to be speaking from 20 to 26. I'm going to do 20 to 22 at first. On my brain's focused here. The grace of God is manifested in the weakness of humanity. That is the power of the church. As you go through this week, I want you to realize and listen and mention how many times you hear humanity in daily conversation right now. John 12, verses 20 and 22 says, And there were certain Greeks among them that came up to worship at the feast. The same came therefore to Philip, which was of Bethsaida of Galilee, and desired him, saying, Sir, we would like to see Jesus. Philip cometh and telleth Andrew. And again Andrew and Philip tell Jesus. So in modern day language, Philip and Andrew, they come to Jesus and they tell him, Jesus, there are two incredibly intelligent, sophisticated, philosophical, probably wealthy Greeks that have come to the Passover and are required to see you. Can you show us Jesus? And Jesus' response is in 23 to 26, says, And Jesus answered them, saying, The hour is come that the Son of Man should be glorified. What? Verily, verily, I say unto you, except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone. But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. Say much fruit. He that loveth his life shall lose it, and he that hateth his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal. If any man serve me, let him follow me. Say, follow me. Follow me. And where I am, there shall also my servant be. If any man serve me, him will my Father honor. It's hard to read King James. So you can imagine his disciples, they come up and say, these two Greeks philosophers want to see you, and he gives them this big, long explanation. He says, Jesus, you must have understood us. You see, the interesting about these Greeks is the Bible says they were on their way to the house of God. The Bible says they were on their way to the temple at the time of Passover. And they were there to observe the Passover celebration, which was an unbelievable spectacle at that time. Still is today with the way they dress and the show and the lights and the sacrifices. And you can imagine being there. People come from all over to see all these things take place. Kind of like going to a concert, you know what I mean? We're looking for the what? And so they're there to see the spectacle. Now Jesus, he's been on the earth ministering for about 3.5 years now. Ministering, doing miracles, signs, and wonders. He's healing the sick, raising the dead, calls the blind to see, deaf to hear, the lame to walk. He's done many miracles. Many miracles. And these Greeks are on their way to see the spectacle of the Passover celebration. But you see, they weren't there for the spectacle of religion. What they were looking for is they wanted to see Jesus. The one that raised the dead, healed the sick, cast out devils. They said, we have heard about this Jesus, and normally we'd be just going to the church service, but we're not interested in just the church service. We want you to show us Jesus. So Philip and Andrew, they go find Jesus and say to him, Jesus, you're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe this. There are two incredibly brilliant, sophisticated, philosophical, most likely they're wealthy because they've traveled all the way from Greece to here for the Passover. I mean, they could be good tithers, and they could contribute to our worldwide evangelism ministry. and they've asked to see you. So normally they're coming to the Passover celebration, but they're not interested in the Passover celebration and all the semantics and the hoopla of the Passover celebration. They want to see you. Now, if you could just go shake their hand, hug their neck, introduce yourself, share your ministry with them because they really want to see you. Show me Jesus. And Jesus' response is saying, the hour has come that the Son of Man should be glorified. Now let me talk about this word glorified for a minute. When we talk about God, the word glory means what you're known for. Like when you're a football player in high school and you're the quarterback and you're great and you're 60 years old now and you're like, man, when I was 17 years old, that was my glory days. So he's about to do what it is he's going to be known for the rest of history. He said, it's about time the Son of Man should be glorified. Verily, verily, I say unto you, except the corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone. But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. Say much fruit. He that loveth his life shall lose it, and he that hateth his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal. If any man serves me, let him follow me, and where I am, there shall also my servant be. If any man serve me, him my Father will honor. So I'm going to share you something tonight. On Wednesday night, Brother Norm brought a friend. And we're standing in the food line, and Norm says, hey, I want you to meet my friend over at the table. Well, most of you know me. Before Norm could even get his food, I'm already at the table talking to Jordan. Right? I know what Jordan does. And by the way, Jordan gets up. He says, my name's Jordan. I shear sheep for a living. I'm like, hey, I can use you. Every church needs a sheep shearer for sure. Introduced myself. I made conversation. He goes to tell me he was raised in a church. He said, but the people there weren't as excited about church as you people are. He hadn't been in church since he was 18 years old, and he's a grown man now. I believe the church he went to was probably a little, what we call, stiff neck. And Norm really wanted me to meet him. But really in his heart, he wanted him to meet Jesus. He brought him to this church, not just to meet me or Pastor Steve. He brought him to this church in the hopes that he would meet Jesus. Because the ultimate desire for all of us is that we would see Jesus. They show me Jesus. I'm not going to go through the text again. I already read it. We're going to talk about these two Greeks. They were tired of religion. It's kind of funny how God speaks, like I told in the earlier service, is I never tell my wife what I'm going to preach on. Because her songs, if they don't match my message, one of us missed it. And then God goes and gives a word because Bree wasn't here until the end of the first service. And she goes and mentions this. You see how God is working in your life and He's opening the eyes of the blind, as you can see that God is present with us right now? See, they were tired of religion. They wanted to see Jesus. They said, we heard that how He raises the dead, He heals the sick, He casts out devils. Can you show us Jesus? Now listen, church. Because they're thinking, because we heard you walk around with Him, we heard you talk to Him, can you introduce us to Jesus? Jesus' response is, it's time for me to be glorified. Okay, Jesus, 3 years of full-time ministry is really getting to you. I really need you to listen to what we're saying, because nothing what He's saying makes sense to them. Right? They're like, they want to meet you, and it's like, yeah, unless a grain of wheat fall to the ground, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? They're like, dude. Now, when you watch The Chosen, you can almost see this in your mind, how Jesus spoke. It has nothing to do with what they're asking. Or it seems like it doesn't. When you read the Bible, you got to read the Bible, right? You got to read where he's at and what's going on and what's about to take place. He's at the Passover celebration, and we know what happens in the next few days. They didn't know. What Jesus was saying, if you want to see Jesus, here's how it's going to work. Because I'm going to be glorified in this, I'm going to go to a cross and die. They're going to take my body like a grain of wheat. They're going to put it in a borrowed tomb. They're going to, in 3 days, I'm going to rise. And after those 3 days, that grain of wheat is going to spring up, and I'm going to become the firstborn of many brethren. Because if a grain of wheat falls to the ground and die, it produces much fruit. Say much fruit. This much fruit is going to become something called the church of Jesus Christ. So go back and tell the Greeks, if they want to see Jesus, the man who raised the dead, healed the sick, cast out devils, they're going to have to get on the other side of the resurrection and look at the church. Here's what we're trying to say today. The world doesn't want to see religion. And really, they don't care about the entertainment. Because when you're sick, you're broken, you're powerless, you're desperate, a great sermon, a fancy platform, and a great children's program can't get you delivered. The only thing that helps humanity when it's in trouble and things are bad is the church needs to be filled with the glory of God. That's the only thing. The church needs to be filled with the glory of God. That's the only thing. Let me tell you, when the world comes to the church, and they're going to, you can see today, there's new people here today. People are looking for something. There's something calling in their heart. We call it the Spirit of God. Calling them back because He's coming soon and we have to get what we choose. That will be like, we like the worship. How many like the worship this morning? And the great preaching. But really, we want to see Jesus. That's all good. That's all great. But I'm here because I want to see Jesus. My life is a mess. It's tore apart. I came here today because I need answers. I need solution. I want to see Jesus. Can you show me Jesus? Because they're thinking, we heard you church people. You walk with Jesus. You talk with Jesus. I mean, you say the Lord said all the time. How many do that? The Lord said this. The Lord told me that. And they're like, the Lord speaks to you? Christian? You say He lives in your heart and you live with Jesus. You call yourself Christians, which means Christ-like ones. But what I want to know is, can you introduce me to Jesus? I mean, He's your homeboy, right? You're walking with Him, you're talking with Him, you're speaking with Him. I'm here right now. I got this going on, and I need to know, can you introduce me to Jesus? Not your kids' program, even though it's great. Not the religion, although it keeps us in line. I really appreciate the preaching. And I love that music. But we need to see Jesus. My life is a mess. I need to be healed. Can somebody in this place get me to Jesus? And here's what we do. Jesus, they want to see you. Can you come over and, Jesus, I got this person right here in front of me, and they want me to introduce. So Jesus, can you? Lest the seed fall to the ground. No, brother, come on, not that one again. These Greeks, they want to see you. I'm going to be glorified. I got it. I got it. You're going to be glorified. Let's do this thing. They want to meet you. That's how we do it, church. Jesus' response is, it's time for me to be glorified. Say glorified. But this is the way it's going to work. As I already died on the cross, they put me in a tomb. I rose 3 days later, and like that grain of wheat, I became the firstborn of many brethren. Now that much fruit that I was talking about, that's not me, that's you, the church. Are you staying with me today? 1 John 4:17 says, herein is our love made perfect, that he may have boldness in the day of judgment. We'd have boldness in the days of judgment, because as he is, so are we in the world. Did you catch that part? As he is, so are we, the church, in this world. Somebody in this place has got to tell the devil, let him know that we are the church of Jesus Christ. Put him on notice, because we are not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ. If the world wants to see Jesus, all they got to do is look back at us. No pressure there, Christian. No pressure there, Christian. The only way they're going to see Jesus if they see him in us. Ooh, it's quiet in this place. John 12:26. If any man serve me, let him follow me. Say, follow me. Follow me. And where I am, there shall also my servant be. Where I am, there shall my servant also be. So wherever you are, there he is. If any man serve me, him will my Father honor. Ooh, you know I can roll with that one. Now this word follow here is a rabbinical term. And what we think it means to follow or pursue from a distance. He walks or turns right and goes down that road. We're going to go right behind him down that road. Follow from a distance. Matthew 11:28 and 29 says, come unto me, all ye who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke, everybody say yoke, upon you, and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. This also is a rabbinical term. It's saying, take on my character. Just take on my yoke. Take on my character. Think like me. Respond like me. Be like me. Treat people like I do. Look at people like I do. Now, most of you have been around for a while. My grandbaby that I've raised, she's going to be 10 years old Tuesday. And so the first 7 years of her life, since I was self-employed and a minister of the gospel, my wife was at work. And so for the first 4 years of her life, I carried her on my hip. And people at the church are like, when are you going to let her walk? I said, when she tells me I can't hold her anymore. And wherever I was, there she was also. And today, now that she's grown up and has a ability to speak on her own, Teresa will tell you, she speaks like me. She thinks like me. She acts like me. And she responds like I do. And it was funny, my buddy Thomas, he come up here in the first service, he goes, we're having service, he goes, she acts like you, thinks like you, and he goes, she needs Jesus. He's funny that way, right? He's got a great sense of humor. But it prompted me to say, but my grandbaby, my other grandchildren, she was staying over at my other grandchildren's house. They moved into Cache Creek Apartments, and most of us know there's some crazy, weird things that happen at Cache Creek Apartments. You know, they talk about being on a burial ground and some stuff up there, and some spiritual stuff kind of happens up there. And so my granddaughter's a little afraid of the dark, and she says, this is happening, and that's happening. She says, okay, we'll open the door, and let's just rebuke that thing and tell it to go. You don't need to be afraid of that anymore, Elena. We're going to rebuke it, and we're going to tell it to go out the door. That's what my papa would do. She don't need Jesus. She's already got Jesus. She told us that Jesus talked to her when she was in her baby's tummy. And she remembers it. By the time she was born, she'd been through more hell than most of us have been. And today she loves Jesus. Thanks to our children's program. We have an amazing, she can quote scripture. Awanas, there's a plug for Awanas, okay, in children's church. She's been in children's church her whole life. Many of you remember the first 2 years of her life, I wouldn't even let you touch her. I remember I had her one time, and then somebody went down to bend down to touch her. I go, don't touch her. And they looked at me, and they went. I go, do I look like I'm kidding? I surely messed up the first time with my kids. It's not going to happen on my shift this time. Paul said in 1 Corinthians 11:1, "Be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Christ." Be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Christ. What is Paul saying here? He's saying, I took on the yoke of Christ. I took on his characteristics. I started to think like him, act like him, be like him, love like him, teach like him. I took on the style of Christ. And everything Jesus did, he started doing, living like Jesus did. So he's saying, start emulating me as I emulate him. Church, without the reality of the manifestation of Jesus Christ, the church is synthetic at best. It's a show. It's a show. We want to see Jesus. Show us Jesus. Pastor, worship team. Here's the funny thing. I know you're like, man, that was pretty quick. You done already? There's more to come. And that was 30 minutes, by the way, just to let you know. They tell us after 25, we start to lose your attention. So every time I go 25 minutes, my wife's like, you cut it too short. You left us hanging. Well, shouldn't I leave you wanting more? So what's Jesus saying in this text? What he's saying in this text is the church. We are the church. This church, that church over there, that church up here, those two churches over there, the one that's up there, we're the church. And we're going to become Jesus on the earth. And the only way the world is going to see Jesus is if he sees him through us. And the only way that's going to work is if he can find a group of people who will give up on religion and follow him. Emulate him. The one who heals the sick, opens the eyes of the blind, causes the deaf to hear, raises the dead, casts out devils. And can I tell you right now, there are many people committed to the church right now. Many. There's a group of people here right now, they're committed to this church. There's a group of people that are committed to that church over there. And committed to that one over there, and committed to that one there. They identify themselves by what church they go to. It's not about our church anymore, it's about his church. And God's not looking for your commitment. Because he can't work through a bunch of committed people. He's looking for surrender. He's looking for people who will surrender their life, put down their religion beliefs, and get on with the world, what he says. Put away the way we used to do it, or the way it's supposed to be done, or the way we think. Religion is nothing more than our man's idea of who God is. He's looking for a group of people who will surrender themselves and do whatever it is he's asked them to do when he asks them to do it at the time he does it. To live one day at a time by faith. And I know there's people in this room today, and many out there who say we need a prophetic move of God in the church. And you have never healed anybody in your life. You have never and haven't won anybody to Christ in your life. And yet you judge everything I do and think I'm crazy. You judge everything everybody else does. But yet, if you got the real Jesus, show me. I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to need some people to be brave. Is there anybody in this place that's sick today? You came here today and you said, I need prayer. Come here, Robin. Come here, Dougie. You two, come on over here. Just stand right there. Okay, now, if you got the real Jesus, come show me. If you got the real Jesus, come show me. Dougie right here, he needs a miracle. He needs things that are talking to him to go away. My sister here, she's got an ailment in her body, and this one here. If you got the real Jesus, that's what I'm talking about, church. Pastor Chris, you're being mean. No, I'm being real right now. We are going into 2023, and the church needs to become the church. If you got the real Jesus, get up out of your seat and come pray for one of these people. Come do what it is God has equipped you to do. Get out of your seat. I ain't being mean, I'm just being real. We don't have to go to the altar team. We can do it ourselves. If you got the real Jesus, show me. Show me Jesus in this place today. Can I tell you today? He's looking for a group of people who say, I'm tired of playing church. I want to be the church. No longer do I want to play church anymore and come for the entertainment. I want to be part of the church in 2023. And as we close this service and people begin to pray for one another, I would ask you to spend the next 10 minutes in worship. You might want to ask yourself while you're in worship, where am I with God today? Where am I at? What is holding me back, Lord? And see if He don't speak to you all the way in the back. Show me Jesus.